In this video, we will see how to use a tool to better manage your code called Git, and also download and set up our first Android project. In the last video, we went through a series of steps to install and understand the Android SDK and related tools. In this video, before we use Git, let's understand what it is. Git is a tool that will help you save different versions of your code and keep track of changes between different code versions. It is used by almost everyone in the industry and is recommended for professional software development. Now, if you don't have Git already, you can go to the Git SCM link you see on this slide to download the Git command line tool. There are Git GUI clients also that give you a nice graphical interface, but it is recommended to use the command line tool as that is what is preferred in the industry. So let's go to the link. Since I'm using Mac, I'm going to download the Mac installer. Once you have downloaded the Git package, open it and then open the README file to see how to install it. Out here, follow the instructions on how to install it. For Mac users who are running OS X version Yosemite or before, pay particular attention to step 2. As per the instructions, to install it, double-click the app package and follow the setup wizard. Okay, so it seems Git has installed. To verify this, open your terminal. If you already have a terminal of your choice, use that. Or you can find the native terminal in your applications folder. So go to your applications folder, then out here find utilities, and in utilities, find the terminal. Now in your terminal, type git space dash dash version. If you see a valid output like this, it means you have successfully installed Git. Now it's time to set up GitHub, which is a cloud-based Git repository service that will be used to store and access your projects in the course. Go to the GitHub link on the slide. On the main GitHub page, fill in the necessary sign-up form and complete all the subsequent steps to sign up for a free GitHub account. This process won't take you long. I would recommend to pause the video until you have finished the sign-up process. Since I have already signed up, I'm going to log into my account. When you first set up your GitHub account from scratch, and have no projects, you should see an introductory dashboard like this. Now that we have the GitHub account set up, we'll be using the SSH way of authenticating with GitHub from our local computer so that we can sync our local projects with GitHub and store these projects on the cloud. The reason we use SSH instead of HTTPS is because SSH way is more secure and convenient, since you won't have to key in your GitHub username and password in your local computer for pushing or downloading changes from GitHub. If you're using SSH for the first time, we first need to generate public and private key pair, as SSH uses public key cryptography for authentication. To learn how to generate public and private key, go to your account icon in the top right corner, click on it. It will show you a drop down. Out here, click on settings. On the settings page in the left menu, click on SSH and GPG keys. Then out here, open the link to the guide to generating SSH keys in a separate tab. Then on this guide page, click on the generating a new SSH key link. Follow these steps to generate a new SSH key. So open your terminal. And let's follow these instructions to generate the SSH key pair. The passphrase is important as the passphrase is used to encrypt the private key. So if you see this output, it shows that the keys have been created successfully. To see the keys, go to the SSH folder on your computer. For Mac users, it will be located as a hidden folder in your home directory. So you can access it by seeding into the SSH directory in your home directory, like this. In this SSH directory, the public key is the file with the .pub suffix. The file without the .pub suffix is the private key. Feel free to open up both the files to see their contents. Usually the contents are a bunch of random characters that represent a digital signature. It is a public key that we want to distribute. And for our case, give it to GitHub so that we can access the projects on GitHub without a username or password. First, let's copy the contents of the public key. To do that easily on Mac, run command cat space the name of the public key, which is id underscore rsa.pub space pipe space pb copy. Now that we have the public key contents copied, go back to the GitHub SSH settings page. Click on new SSH key. This should open up a form. In the form, give a title to the new SSH key. For this, you can give the name of your computer you will be using to connect to GitHub. Then in the key text box, paste the contents of the public key. This is what the contents will look like. And finally, click Add SSH key. This shows you that you have successfully added your SSH key to GitHub. Now let's set up a local Git environment. Go to your terminal. We want to change the default name and email that Git uses to identify the user of the Git repository. To do that, first let's change the default editor that Git uses to the Mac's text edit editor so that it's easier to make any Git config changes. So type in git space config space dash dash global space code.editor space open, as you see here. Then click enter. Once you set the editor, then type in git space config space dash dash global space dash dash edit. This will open up git config in the text edit editor. Audio uncomment the name and email lines by removing the hashtag. And then change the name and email to the ones used for your GitHub account. And then save it. So now we are done setting up Git. Git is a powerful tool for source code management and has many features. I encourage you all to learn the basics of Git on your own using the links on the setup Git slide out here. Once you have installed Git and set it up, let's go download our first Android project to understand the environment. So open your terminal and go to the directory in which you want to download the sample project. So for me, I'm gonna go to my home directory. Then I have a directory area called development. I'm gonna cd into that. Then in development, I have another directory called Android. I'm gonna cd into that as well. And in Android, I have a directory called projects. I'm gonna cd into that. And it is in projects that I'm gonna download the sample project. Feel free to choose the directory of your choice to download the sample project in. Now in the directory, run git clone with the URL of the project repository to download it. The git clone command copies an existing project that could be on a remote server like GitHub or on your local file system. The URL of the project can be found on the slide. So copy and paste the URL into the terminal, and this should start the cloning process. You can check whether the project has been successfully cloned by looking at the contents of the directory. If you see Android Hello World, that means the project has been successfully cloned. Now, once you have the sample project downloaded using Git, let's open it in Android Studio. Start Android Studio. This will open up the welcome screen. Audio on the welcome screen. Click on Open an existing Android Studio project. Navigate to the folder that contains the Android Hello World sample project that you just downloaded. So for me, it's in Development, Android, Projects, Android Hello World. Now this should open up the entire Android Studio environment. Wait for it to completely load the project. In the bottom status bar area, you will see any task the studio is working on at any given moment. Cool, it seems that everything has loaded properly, as there are no errors reported by the studio. And the build of the project has also finished. I hope you all have successfully loaded your project too. Now click on the project button in the left menu. This will show you the project directory structure. How do you want to talk about certain files and folders? Expand the Android Hello World folder. Out here you see the manifest folder. Expand that, and this should show you the Android manifest file. Click on the Android manifest file. Now this is the single most important file in your application. It tells the Android OS what your application is and what components it uses, such as activities. Now activities are basically screens in your app. This file also contains other components your app will use. This file also tells the OS what permission it requires to access system resources, such as internet, file system, and other resources. Then you have the Java folder, which contains all your Java code. You also have the resources folder, which contains your images, screen layouts, and other values. You will learn more about all of this in detail in the CodePass course. Then you have the build.gradle file under Gradle scripts. Open that. This file is what the build system, which is called Gradle, uses to perform tasks defined in the file, such as to build and package your app. You can use this file to do all kinds of things, such as test your code, push your code to a continuous integration server, and other things. The possibilities are endless, as you can simply code a task in the Groovy language that Gradle understands. In this Gradle file, most of the time, you will be updating this top level dependency section. Out here, you will add package names of the dependencies your app requires, such as any cool networking library, image processing library, and any other libraries you are interested in. Now let's build a project with Gradle to ensure there are no errors. For that, click Build in the top menu, and then select Make Project. Out here, you'll see the status of the Gradle build in the bottom status bar. To build a project using Gradle, you can also click on this Gradle icon that you see here. You can also view the Gradle logs in the Gradle console by clicking on this Gradle console in the bottom right corner. Out here, you can see that the build has successfully completed. Now there is another option to check in Android Studio preferences. So let's open Preferences. For that, click on Android Studio in the top menu, then click on Preferences. Out here, search for Instant Run. And then deselect Instant Run. So Instant Run allows you to quickly apply any changes to your code to the running app being tested on either a physical device or the emulator without requiring a full recompilation. So it seems very useful, right? But the issue is that some of the third-party libraries that you may be using in the course are not compatible with such hot updates to your running app. So your app could break, which is why it is recommended to disable Instant Run for now. Click Apply and then click OK. So now we are done setting up our first Android project and getting a basic understanding of the Android Studio environment. In the next video, we will look at how to set up the Android emulator, which will allow you to run the Android OS on your computer.